I love this place. Hi, everybody. It is, oh my gosh, it's so great to see all of you in the same space. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. I'm Will Davis. I'm here from the Pod Lab at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, where we're training the next generation of professional podcasters. And we're here tonight to celebrate podcasting. We're here to celebrate public radio. Any public radio nerds in the house? Yes. And we're here to celebrate StoryCorps. So StoryCorps has been around for 20 years, and their mission is to record the stories of everyday Americans. And you hear these stories on Friday mornings on NPR, broadcast locally on WUTC, or the StoryCorps podcast. And so you know how powerful that one-to-one conversation model can be for people, right? Well, in 2016, when polarization was reaching fever pitch in America, StoryCorps asked what they could do about it. And that was the beginning of One Small Step, which is the project that brings us together tonight. One Small Step is about bringing people together, usually strangers, to have a 50-minute conversation, just to talk, because when we do that, we find the humanity and commonality in each other. It just happens. It's a very popular program. Today, there are over 10,000 people on the waiting list, the national waiting list, to have One Small Step conversations. So with that kind of interest, StoryCorps does a lot of thinking about who they partner with. They look for communities that they feel are rising above the noise of polarization. They want to hear from these communities and they want to learn from them. And they chose us. They chose us. Chattanooga is one of only 6 cities in the country that StoryCorps partnered with this year for One Small Step. Yeah. If you're curious about the other cities, I have a quick, short video that StoryCorps made about, this is this year's One Small Step cohort.
What made you want to do this interview today?
Probably curiosity more than anything. In a nutshell, I'm looking in many different ways to have contact with people who are different than me, and this is one of the ways I can do it.
I wanted to do this interview really because people just fascinate me.
Here was this opportunity that was set up to actually bring 2 people together who might not normally sit down and have a conversation.
What made you want to do this interview today?
Being here in the back roads of Colorado, I was kind of curious. I wonder who they'll pair me up with.
I'm here in Wilmington, North Carolina.
I'm located in Grand Marais, Minnesota.
My current location is Franklin, Michigan.
And I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
For me, being a North Shore resident means caring about the environment of the North Shore, caring about the community of the North Shore, taking care of your neighbors through trying to be kind and having conversations with your neighbors.
I try to be just kind, no matter what's in my mind, just to be kind.
Yes.
And start with that.
I think that's a very good place to start.
Right.
Could you briefly describe in your own words your personal political values?
I would say I'm a conservative.
I wouldn't have pinned you as a Republican when I first saw you.
Yeah, it's like some things I'm just like, I don't care what type of party you want to put me in. Nah, this is my belief.
I believe that there need to be people that don't think like me, I need people who see things from a different perspective because I can't possibly see it all.
There's so many other views that we're not exploring or looking into at all, like, because we're so set on, like, you're either a Democrat or you're a Republican.
And sometimes I feel like the two options hold the same values in a way.
I think this is a very good step, the one small step conversation. More people should think about doing this.
Is there anything you learned about me today that surprised you?
I'm surprised at how much we were alike, but yet how much I learned and how much I really would love to hear more about our differences and go even deeper in that.
Yes, agreed.
I'd really like the opportunity to talk more.
And I love this. This is great. Thank you.
Now, we've been recording locally since July, and we're still recording. Look at this. If you're in this picture and you're here tonight, would you please raise your hand? So, nice. Yeah, nice. You know, on a personal note, I have a lot to be grateful for these days, but one of them is this work, because I feel like in meeting these folks and listening to them, that I'm learning what's positive and possible. I want you to meet the first 6 people, okay, that recorded. So the first 3 conversations. First up is Tracy Beeman and Christopher Cooper. And Tracy and Christopher were the first people that recorded, and I don't know that they know that. No. They were the first. I might not have told you that at the time. They were the first, and I'm so grateful to them both because they really got us off to a great start, and they really set the tone and set us up for success. They were strangers, they met, came together and had a very authentic conversation, very genuine, about a lot of things, including race.
I'm Tracy Beeman.
My name is Christopher Cooper.
I grew up in Georgia, and we were at the end of segregation. So I can look back and think, oh my gosh, my parents were so prejudiced. I wasn't even around people of another race until, I want to say, 4th grade or something.
My mom she grew up in that same time frame as well. She's 62, and she went to Brainerd, and when she went there, it was all white school, and the logo, it was the rebel flag. And, yeah, so they sent all these African American students to the school, and every day they see the rebel flag logo. So now they're the Brainerd Panthers because her class got to vote on a new logo.
Is your mom still living?
Oh, yeah.
I think for me it would be so interesting to sit down with somebody like her and hear what her thoughts were back in the day. Yeah. Because I saw it, I watched it, but especially as a kid, you don't even for a minute think like that. Like, well,
Right.
What are they going through?
Right.
I think I would like to meet that woman.
You need to. So that's where I got the not meeting a stranger.
From her.
Because my mom, she doesn't meet a stranger. When I was a kid, I hated it. We would go to Walmart just to get bread or anything, and she's talking to someone 20 minutes. I'm like, Mom, we ready to go, Mom.
I think if you and I do meet in the grocery store and make eye contact, we might as well just go get a table somewhere.
I mean, we had to get
there talking a
we had to
while.
get a Lunchable or something because it's gonna be
have a snack.
It's gonna be well. I keep my bag with snacks in it, so I'm prepared. I am ready.
Tracy and Christopher are here tonight. Oh, and I want you to meet my friend and colleague and partner in this project, Charlie Reed. Yeah, I don't. Can I put Christopher and Tracy on the spot?
So, hello everyone. Christopher and Tracy were so lovely. You guys were the great inaugural conversation here. So, just want to ask you, we'll start with you, Christopher, why did you decide to participate in One Small Step and have this conversation with a complete stranger?
For me, that same week I read an article where other countries was doing it, having people from diverse backgrounds, etc., and the results, I was like, wow. And then that email popped up, and I'm like, let me sign up. They're not gonna pick me. And then,
we sure did.
And you did. And it was a person you don't meet typically organically, so that was kind of cool. And we try to go to lunch like once a month, so we still try to stay in touch, so it's kind of cool.
That's so lovely. I don't want to give away the whole conversation, but I'm going to ask Tracy, we'd love to hear why you decided to participate, or perhaps what surprised you about the interview or the conversation you had with Christopher. And you can take it.
Well, I think I did it because I'm a people person, and I have been bothered the last year on the lack of diversity in my life. I live in East Springer, so I don't have much diversity. And a friend of mine sent me the link for this. But what surprised me was I felt like we had so much more in common. I don't know if Christopher thought, and maybe it was personality-wise. I mean, if Will hadn't been there, we probably would have sat there for 4 or 5 hours and talked, because we're both talkers. Yeah, he did, and we were like, what? But really, I was surprised at the connection and how much I felt like we were alike.
Well, Will and I saw that firsthand when we came out of the Pod Lab, so thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Tracy and Christopher, so much. Thank you.
Good on you.
They got us off to a great start. So a lot of these conversations are about politics. And, not only do we hear from regular people, but we also hear from politicians. Next up is Joda Tong Napanua and Bob Corker.
The first time I remember meeting you was on the top floor, I think, of the Miller Martin offices. And I think you were still a U.S. Senator at the time, and we were talking about opportunity zones.
Correct. Yeah, I remember thinking what a brainiac you were and a great talent. You've become chief of staff to the mayor, and I'm glad to see you contributing in the way you are to the life of Chattanoogans.
So do you ever feel troubled by people with the same beliefs as you, people on your side?
Yeah, I want to start by, I had this conversation with numbers of senators, but, if you look at the Republican Party, there's probably 3 or 4 parties in there. And if you look at the Democratic Party, there's probably 3 or 4 parties in there. And so when you say on your side, I could have very, very different views from some of the folks on the Republican side about certain topics, and I know my Democratic colleagues could have the same. So, I'd be troubled if you look at my side as being the collective, every senator on the Republican side. Certainly I was troubled by certain things that were said, and I'm sure they were troubled by some of the things that I said. So absolutely, and there is a tremendous overlap in thinking, even among center-right, center-left people. There just is. And if you listen first, always listen first, hear the other person's point of view, there's a lot more common ground on multiple issues.
Folks on my side, on the left of center side, often point to countries like Denmark or Sweden or Nordic countries about policy areas where they'd like to see the world go. But one of the things that sticks out to me is that I can't think of a single country where a multi-ethnic democracy in a place that is as big and vast as the United States has successfully found a way to provide basic dignity and secure the rights that we said were important in our Constitution, and have done that whilst creating an economy that works for the vast majority of its residents. That country does not exist. We're building it right now. And I think that's pretty profound.
Well, I think us coming together, quote, as a country is our biggest challenge and needs to be of greatest focus. I mean, we talk about our enemies abroad, if you will, in the public arena in Washington. And to me, today, our greatest enemy is ourselves.
I'm going to give a shout out to a friend of mine who's here, Carrie Hayes. And the reason I do is because it reminded me when I was listening to this. StoryCorps, as some of you may know, came here in 2019. 2019? Yeah, 2019, pre-pandemic, right? So, and Carrie was instrumental in helping me with that and making that happen. And that relationship, that was such a successful visit. And that relationship that we made at that time made them want to come back, and that's part of why I think they came back. And Carrie was also helpful in putting this together. So thank you, Carrie, for your help with this project. The last little bit of tape I want to share with you is from Scar Perdue and Caleb Lon. This was the third conversation we recorded, and it really stuck with me and really impacted me. And the reason is because on paper, Scar and Caleb were very, very different. They should not have gotten along. Like, they should not have gotten along. But they did get along. Not only did they get along, they met, they came together and connected in a way that as I listened, I was recording, and as I was listening, it just reminded me of what this whole project is about.
My name is Caleb Lon.
My name is Scar Perdue. My full name is Scarlett.
My parents were both pretty far-right conservative. I mean, for example, my mom thinks that Fox News is far left.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
My personal political values are pretty much constantly changing because I'm always learning and trying to figure out.
That's admirable.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. It's stressful, too. What about you?
I would say I'm pretty sturdily in the left. Just because LGBT stuff is, like, really important to me. It's just a big part of my life, and they are more with the left. When I saw your bio, I'm like, you're a minister. This is probably a good opportunity.
Yeah. I really liked reading that, LGBTQIA plus issues are important to you. One of the things for me that's kind of been instrumental in how I've changed over time is my sibling Violet actually came out as trans, and they live with us, and pretty much we're the only ones who support them.
Yeah.
And because of that, we're kind of their only support system. And so that's one thing that kind of catalyzed a lot of me looking at how I feel and how I think about certain issues, especially LGBTQ issues. I mean, one thing, especially working in the church, especially in a conservative part of the church, is dealing with the LGBTQIA issues. I'm not allowed to really talk about it. I think probably the bigger difference between us is I have to put up with people.
Yeah.
And I really respect that you don't, and that you're comfortable enough in yourself to know that you don't have to.
Yeah. No. I don't really argue with people. I know a lot of people that argue and stuff, and I am not really about it. I'm not a big arguer. I think the best way to solve stuff is through, like, action, maybe not through directly arguing, and that's probably why I wanted to do StoryCorps so much, is because it helps bring people together.
There's Scar. Hi, Scar. Thank you for coming. Can I put you on the spot, too? Good.
So back with the mic. Hi, Scar. So we'll ask you the same question. Thank you again. I know your conversation partner's not here tonight, but he's here in spirit, and we can update him. But so why did you decide to participate in One Small Step with StoryCorps?
I just want to be more tolerant and kind to people that don't exactly believe the same things that I do, and just like talk about stuff.
How is having a conversation with somebody further that goal of yours? So, somebody like Caleb.
Yeah, I think it helped me improve a bit as a person. I was like, you can sometimes hear it in there. I was like, sometimes I was trying not to cry, and then I like got it together. So I was like, I was worried when I came here today that I was like, oh God, they're gonna know I was about to cry.
No, it's very touching. Let me ask you the part two. Did you learn anything about yourself or life in general, or gain some perspective after the interview that, again, surprised you or just sort of hit you in a different way?
Yeah, especially I think with him, I realized that some people are in places, like kind of tight spots. Like maybe he didn't really want to be in that church anymore, and we kind of got into that in the conversation. But he just couldn't. He had like responsibilities. And so it just made me realize that like sometimes people are in tough spots and you have to be tolerant of them.
Well, again, also Scar is a psychology major here at UTC, or over there at UTC. So just want to give her a shout out and say thank you so much. It was a very touching conversation. Again, we don't want to give away too much because we'll be coming soon. So thanks.
Thank you, Scar. Thanks, Scar. All of the conversations that we record locally are archived in the American Folklife Center at the National Library of Congress in DC. And also available online in their entirety. And that collection by StoryCorps is the largest collection of human voices in the world, and it's growing. And I want to probably embarrass her, but give a shout out to Catherine Lazenby, who is a first-year student at UTC, and she's helping me archive the conversations, and it's a lot of work. Thank you, Catherine. Stand up, let them see you. Speaking of, if you're a student here, make some noise. Okay, good. UTC students, so this is finals week, so thank you for taking time out to be here. I want to tell you two things quickly, but both of them are about students, so that's why I asked. The first thing is I teach podcasting at UTC. In the spring semester, my podcasting students will listen to every recording we make, research it, discuss it, and working with StoryCorps, we'll create an original podcast series that will be available wherever you get your podcasts and as a series on WUTC. So stay tuned for that. The other thing I want to mention is this program came with a generous stipend from StoryCorps and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to cover the expenses of this work. And we did that. We covered the expenses, but because I work with people who are thoughtful and creative, judicious, we were able to save most of that money. I'm very, very happy to tell you that we're taking that money and creating student scholarships with it for projects that are creative and in the spirit of One Small Step. Yeah. So really good work coming your way. Okay, if you are inspired by One Small Step, I want to mention that StoryCorps has done a great job about creating this do-it-yourself One Small Step guide that you can download for free at takeonesmallstep.org. If you want to incorporate this kind of work into your own life, your job, your creative work, it's a great, great guide. And then the last thing I want to do is thank some people, and there's so many people to thank. We would be here all night, and I want to let you get back to your conversations. But I do want to mention a couple people in particular. My friends and colleagues at StoryCorps, especially Melissa Velasquez, the group here at Songbirds. Thank you so much. I love this place. It's a magical venue. There's a interesting documentary that I just watched over the weekend about Songbirds, so check that out if you get a chance. My colleagues at UTC, too many to thank, but especially Gina Stafford, thank you. Chuck Wasserstrom, Charlie Reed, Mike Andrews, Jared Niles, thank you so much. And finally, last but not least, I just want to thank everybody who has taken one small step, participated in this project, and made it such a success. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Be sure to get a complimentary t-shirt. Get your picture taken. If you haven't, please get your picture taken so I can go through them all later. And just have a wonderful night. Thank you, everybody.